Hello everyone, مرحبا فيكم. حياكم الله doing sculpture. Thank you for joining us. And thanks for coming back to us or inviting us back. We were supposed to have this panel discussion last week, but due to unforeseen circumstances, we were unable to. So thank you for inviting us back to conduct this panel discussion called Sculpting Sculpture with, Sculpting Fiction, sorry for so much for that. Take two. Okay, so we have with us from the very end, we've got Anas Khalaf, who is a director, an actor and producer. He has a film that was released into 2021 about the war in Syria called The Translator, currently screening in Netflix. He's also working on two films that complete the trilogy in the trilogy that is working on is completing soon. You're in the middle of financing them. I believe you've received some awards from the Red Sea Film Festival. Then we have Atik, who's the actor, and who started off in theatre and has ventured onto the large screen. And he is in a film called The Valley. Valley Road. And we have Dr. Rodney Sharkey, who is a professor of English in Wakhanam University in Qatar, National University in Qatar. And he is also a writer, and he has a book that was released in 2024 titled Bowie Beckett Being the Art of Animation. So we invite you today, and my name is Lisa Al-Mu'min. I am an architect by training, a professor of art and design, and also a filmmaker. So we invite you today into our world of acting, writing, performance, film, theatre. Tam was supposed to be part of the panel today, but we wish her well. She's feeling under the weather, and she wasn't able to join us. But we'll somehow try to get her presence involved in this discussion. So we invite you today to our world
and our processes. Basically, we're going to take you through our own reflections on how we shape the work that we do, whether it's building characters, settings, narratives, and we're going to explore what those intersections might be, where we're at, and also to explore the way that processes are quite important in our work, and they take many different iterations so that process and outcome become equally valuable. And I think that's in our previous discussions, the revelations that we're having. So first of all, so that there is عيش وملح بيناتنا, so that we can break bread and have salt together. We're going to start with Atif, who would like to introduce you to the process of building characters in theatre and acting.
So hi, how are you? First of all, excuse my English, and I'm happy to be here to share my journey. How can I build character in films and in theater? Also, I have an experience in writing and in the art industry at all. So again, what's your question? What was your question?
Hello? I wanted you to share with the audience your processes of building your characters. So one of the first things that we do as actors is we start off each sessions with warm-ups. And these warm-ups are usually a way for us to explore our bodies as a tool.
Sure.
And then through that we create rhythms, pacings, timings, and we start off with ourselves as a tool and then how we interact with each other to create rhythms and pacing. So I
Yeah,
would like you to talk a little bit about that process and maybe share what you have as exercises
So
with the audience.
let's to understand the character firstly. So when I get a film, like some of my friends talk with me, like I have a film and I need you to be an actor on it. I read the script and the scenario, and I trying to focus on the character, not on the story. I trying to focus on the character, and I studied that I have to focus on the overall goal for the character. So I have to understand it where the character needs to go, the needs and what they want. So after all, when I study the character, I have to engage with the other characters. So yeah, like mostly we are engaging with people that the first time that I see them. Like my friend Anas, it's the first time I see him. So I have to do, like in the industry, we do something like a warm up, and also we do something that we need to build a rhythm and dynamic between the characters. So I have an idea that I don't need to talk about like acting and cinema because it's heavy subject, but I need to do something that with can I do something with the audience?
Yes. Go ahead.
Like, do you need to do like what we do in the theater? We like we first time that we met. So can I choose like 2 or 3 of the audience? We need to play something together. Like, first of all, can I ask the audience, how many of you like an actor? Actors, writers, director, yeah, Hamid, director. So any one of you like interesting in the acting, can I choose 3 of you guys to come with me and play something easy?
Yes, yalla. Come. Ala.
Yeah, come with me.
Ala.
Ala. Like playing something. Can you guys help me to do something?
Yeah, this guy one.
I need other.
Come on. She's coming. Yalla.
Lovely.
One more?
So I'm gonna go there. So come close to me. So as like an actor, we have to build the dynamic between us. Like I don't think about the studying acting or what I have to in the character. Mostly we have to believe in each other. My name is Atith. What's your name? Ala. Uthman. So we have to be engaging as a human and the other human. We have to understand each us really well and believe in us. So we are going to act. We are going to play, like having fun in the theater. So now we are playing a song, a music piece, and we have to play, like what we have to play. We have this thing, and also, let me. Can you touch it? We are playing. Can someone play the music piece?
Yes.
Can you?
The music piece you have? Yeah. Oh, it's you who playing?
No, I don't think we have a music piece.
Okay.
سارة الروفي ماسكة الميكروفون.
So mostly what we are going to do, we are listening to the music. So the music, it's kind of the dialogues.
Okay.
We are going to imagine the music. It's going to be the dialogue. So you have your own dialogue, you have your own line, and I have my own line, and you have your own line. But mostly, as an actor, I have to be a good listener. I have to listen. So it's a good advice. You have to listen. So we are going to play a music, and when the music playing, it's not hard. But when the music playing the chords, like we are going to understand it now, we are going to throw the balance, and the other one has to catch it.
They don't have.
And we have to go there. We have to play a circle. Come to me. Yeah, and I have to throw it, and you have to catch it, Sarah. No music?
No.
I don't know, is there no music?
We can clap.
We can. No music, we can clap.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, so we are going to experiment and like imagine. No one clap, we are going to clap.
You're going to clap,
Yeah.
okay. We're trying to help.
For what?
It's okay. Like we are experiment. Look, this is a creative thing. We are going to like create things because always we have a problem. Yalla.
We always have a problem.
Yalla. 1, 2, 3. Hop. Can you catch it? Yes. Let it go. And you have to catch it. You have to clap? Yeah. When you throw it, you have to clap. It's a good play. Yalla. 1, 2, 3. Hop. Hop. Move. Hop. Hop. Catch it. Catch it and throw it and hop. Hop. Clap. Hop. So those things, it's time to play. I mean, we are always in theater creating things, like imagining and playing things, and we don't focus like on the heavy things. You have to understand the character, and you have to use your tools, your voice, and your body, and your head. Like those things, I don't believe. Like I don't have like a long journey in the acting, but like the most advice that I have, it's believe in the character, like. If the character crazy, I have to believe that I am a crazy, and I have to do something crazy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Atif. So I'd like to now ask Anas about his processes, because you are also an actor, but you did not have the formal training. And can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you meander between director and actor?
Thank you. Yeah, just to bounce on what he just said, if you are acting crazy, you have to be crazy. I think this is the key element to acting. Are you becoming your character, or you're pretending to be the character while you're acting? And this is the very main or only question about acting. Are you a trained actor, or are you a non-trained actor? So I'm not a trained actor. I was invited to be in a film years and years ago by a Palestinian director, and I became an actor after that. But he liked that about me, and now as a director, I also like this about actors, that they are non-trained actors, because when you are trained, when you come from acting school, I think you learn too many automatism, too many reflexes about how to deliver a performance, which is the point of any job, I guess. You have to be trained at any job in order to do it well. But I would have to say, for me, the exception is the acting. If you're not trained, then you really become the person. You are a crazy character in the film, and you really become crazy, because you wouldn't know how to act crazy except becoming crazy. So for me, this non-trained actress is easier to mold, to shape, to sculpt into the character, because an actor, an actress is a person. You don't change them. They are a creation of God. They are a personality, the creation of the family or the creation of the society is the personality. And then the character, in French it's personnage, this is the one you can play the most with. But when you are not a trained actor or actress, this is where you can completely adapt and become the character and leave the emotions that you're supposed to deliver to the audience. So if you are becoming sad or happy of a situation in the scene of the film, you have to be really angry because the character is angry. You as a person become angry as well. You don't become angry by thinking about something that made you angry in your past life. Be angry because the character is angry right now. Yeah. And this is the key for me as a director when I direct actors. Don't think about something that made you sad to cry. You have to cry because what's happening in the scene is making you sad.
But honestly, it's a school. It's a school. Like some of the people, they have like a method to think about something happened with them sad.
Yes.
But I love your method, like being sad now.
Yes. Now because the scene is making you sad.
Sure.
Okay, we're talking about, I was in a film just a few months ago as a Syrian refugee meeting a Ukrainian refugee. She's telling me her story of her trauma of the Ukrainian war, and I'm supposed to cry at what she's saying. So I wasn't thinking about my own trauma to cry. I was really affected by what she was telling me, and I cried because her story was really sad and making me sad, what she had been through. This is my way, this is my method. But other method, like you just said, is they're going to think about a film that made them sad, about the death of a family member, anything that made them sad in the past.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So as a writer, and you're conceiving of your film, and you've got a character in mind, and sentiment in mind, and a narrative in mind, and a character arc in mind. I want to ask you a little bit about iterations, because obviously we write, and then we rewrite, and then you film, and then you edit, and in each one of these processes, do you find that you yourself as a director, you try to stay truthful to the character that you wrote, or do you allow the processes to affect the performance, the story, the narrative, and the film at the end? Because that's very different to theater. Theater is, it's live, it's instant, and yes, so in terms of, I would love to hear a little bit of a discussion about the differences between what happens to a character in the process of film as opposed to a character that is written for theater. And I know, Rodney, that you've also been involved in theater in the past, so it would be really nice to kind of understand all our thoughts on this. So welcome to our musings. And
Thank you. Question exactly to that, Anis. Because I was thinking immediately of the difference between making a film and theatre.
Yeah.
So would this be accurate then to say, in this moment where you're taking this, where you characterize yourself as this amateur approach to be in the moment, and you're talking to, is it a Syrian woman? Yes?
Ukrainian woman.
Ukrainian, you're Syrian.
I'm Syrian, she's Ukrainian.
She's Ukrainian, and she's telling you the story of the traumatic journey, and immediately in the moment you have a spontaneous emotional response.
Yeah.
In the film.
Yes.
Yes, but if you're doing this on stage for 365 nights, is it?
Yeah.
or minus, right? Then probably around the 4th or 5th night, certainly the 40th or 50th night, the stage actor needs to be able to call on something else rather than the idea that the being in the moment will create the necessary emotion. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a theater person at all. For me, I respect theater and the repetition of the emotional moment and journey every night after night after night, sometimes for years.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, I don't know how they do that, because in cinema you have to have one moment, one take, where you get it, and then you say, I got it. Now we move on to the next scene, to the next setup. Because for me, this emotional, unique peak happens only once. So in theater, do it 10, 50, 200, 2,000 times. I don't know how they do that. I don't understand it, and honestly, I'm sorry for the theater people. I don't believe in it. You cannot deliver this emotion 200 times in a row.
That's
But as an actor, you have to work. Like if you have a good moment now, you have to know how that moment came.
Yeah.
And theater, we are playing like 100, 200 times. Like كرر عيد المشهد. Do it again and again and again, and that can make you a good actor because you know how to go in that emotion in theater. I think so.
Yeah, of course, and it's also the science of rehearsal in cinema. Cinema has rehearsal before you go into filming. You rehearse and rehearse. I don't rehearse. I don't like rehearsal.
Absolutely. I agree with you that when a director asks me, I've done a little bit of acting, and I'm not a trained actress either, but I have been involved in some films. But if there's a rehearsal, then the rehearsal for me is the best moment. Yeah. And then they say, now we take it, and I'm like, it's gone.
It's gone, exactly.
And
so no rehearsal.
I heard my friend Oscar Boyson, who's a New York-based producer and director, and he was saying that he has a philosophy: rehearse once, 2 takes, that's it.
Yeah.
You move on to the next. You don't try to take a third take because already the performance is gone.
Yes,
So-
agreed. And you have the school where you repeat again and again and again, 40, 50 times takes, 50 takes. Like Ruben Östlund, the Palme d'Or of Triangle of Sadness from Sweden, he makes 50, 60 takes before, for him, he reaches what he wants. Okay, that's another way of doing it.
Yes, absolutely.
and Stanley Kubrick would do that too.
Yes.
And what's his name, the actor?
Nicholson?
Jack.
It'll come to me as quite a well-known actor, not famous, but well-known, who refused. Who was much more to the spontaneous moment.
Yeah.
So when Kubrick was asking him to walk through a door, it was, I think, for the 25th time, he was like, enough of this. And he left, and he walked off set, and he had to be replaced.
Okay.
And his argument was like, to me, acting is something that has an immediacy.
Yes.
And asking me to do it so many times, he says, is absurd. But I would say, in contrast to that the reason a stage actor in the Stanislavski, what's referred to as the Stanislavski method, the reason that they look for an emotion within themselves is that there is the likelihood, if you have to be whatever the emotion is and you find something in your own past, then having to repeat it habitually every night, you're more likely to achieve some authenticity because it is something specific to you.
Specific to your past,
yes.
Yeah.
It's if one was to explore it as a process, I think it would be really interesting if a director or an actor would actually submit to that. I have a friend of mine who said that, talking about iterations, I remember talking to him and saying that one of the reasons I started making films myself is because I wanted to write characters for women that I wanted to play. Every time someone gave me a script with a role of a woman, I didn't feel that it was written authentically. It was usually male directors and inexperienced ones at that, but that's the kind of films that I was getting involved in. And so once I started writing films for women and I thought I could do that, then I became a little bit ashamed of myself because I thought, well, can I challenge myself now to write a role for a man and I found that very difficult. And he asked me a question: why don't you forget the gender of the role until you do the casting? Open up the casting for both men and women and then see what each gender would lend to that role. And then I found that kind of freedom that he allowed himself for his script to change, his setting to change, his context to change really interesting. And I thought that if one was to apply that even in terms of taking 40 takes, but every single time, actually I met a director, a French director who came in from La Femis, actually Bruce Covin, who said, let the actor read the role for you.
Yeah.
Because they will bring something to the script.
Exactly, that you wrote.
Yes, so don't discuss the role too much with the actor, and let the actor bring something to the script. So that's when I started thinking about the script in a completely different way, that it's not a literal blueprint for what you want to make.
Interesting anecdote. I'm throwing in some anecdotes. Some of you may be familiar with the movie. It's old now. Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee.
Yeah.
His second feature. It's a magnificent film if you haven't seen it, even though it's 40 years old. It should have won the Oscar for Best Film in 1989. The Oscar was won by Driving Miss Daisy, which was a movie about an ex-African-American slave driving around a wealthy white woman. Do the Right Thing was about the day in the life of an African-American working-class suburb in Brooklyn. But Spike Lee wrote the character. It basically revolves around a pizzeria, which is run by an Italian-American, and all the customers are African-American, and he has a wall of fame, and everyone on the wall of fame is Italian-American. And the African-Americans would like some African-American representation on the wall, and everything goes south very quickly. But the character, Spike Lee wrote the character of Sal, the pizzeria owner, explicitly as a racist. So as he was writing this script up, he's like, this character is a racist. But then when they were casting, he was lucky enough to get a great Italian-American actor called Danny Aiello. And Danny Aiello came in and started playing the part of Sal. And Spike Lee was like, what's going on here with my movie? Because even though it was the script as Spike Lee had written it, Aiello was able to bring something to the character of Sal such that his racism was not so immediately apparent. So when you describe the movie to someone, it sounds like you're describing how a community falls out over a specifically racist incident. But actually watching the film, you get an idea of how complex race relations are. I'm not suggesting for a moment that Sal is not a racist, ultimately he is, but it doesn't come across, forgive the pun, to be so black and white, precisely because the character brought a whole dimension, the actor brought a whole dimension to the character that the author hadn't anticipated when he wrote the part.
Yes, that makes the whole difference when you bring in the actor, actress, and they bring their own experience of what it is to become this character. And that was your earlier question, Mesa, through the writing, production, and then editing. Well, the actor, actress will change everything you had anticipated in a good way for me. That's what I love. And improvisation is also very key in the process for me, to let the actors improvise something that was not on the page, not on the paper. Let them go with it, and we'll see where it goes. Love that. Mm-hmm. Love that, because you go into the unknown instead of controlling every single shot of the scene with the words written on the page. No, let them go with it, because life is like that. You don't control everything.
It's interesting because if we were to bring this back a little bit to the process of sculpting, so I see the models of the sculptures in the back, and then I also see by each sculpture the little drawing, which I think references the proposal that was sent in, and then you see the final outcome. So you've got like 3 different iterations of the conceiving of this piece of work. But I would also like to bring the conversation a little bit to audience, because you've got all these different iterations, and at the end, the sculpture is such a definite outcome.
Yeah.
But with us, in terms of whether you write some prose, some literature, you write a piece of work for the theater, you're an actor, you've got your audience that's live, and then for us in film, the audience, can be, like you make a film now, the audience will see it in a year's time, and it will still be seen 50 years. So we were just speaking in the back room about the book that you read in 2004, you said, and you read it again. And so the audience, the different audiences that we have for a book and the different audience that we have for a live piece of work like theater, and the kind of audience that we have for a film, these are kind of different audiences that we don't really think about much, but could we reflect a little bit on that? We haven't discussed this in the past, but I just came to think of like what work we do. Who is it that we're engaging when we do that? Because these are not standalone pieces. We always have an audience. Adith, I think, no. I would like to ask you, because the same thing, I have the same sentiment about theatre. I find it, I have big admiration for live acting, because you don't get take two. So how do you deal with being an actor in terms of, are you aware of the presence of the audience when you're on stage? You've done both film and theatre, so can you tell us a little bit about the difference in terms of how you perform differently?
So mostly I love theater, by the way. Like, cause I love this moment now, cause I have real people now in front of me, and I can look to them, and I can engage with them, and any artist, I think he's like, I have to be happy and funny with the people and dancing. So between the theater and the cinema, I don't find difference between them. Some of the people, they said the actor in cinema, it's different in the actor on theater. But I do, like, on my experience, and when I study with some of the mentors in cinema and theater, they teach me that there is no difference between cinema and theater, because I have just to believe again and again. I have just to believe about myself. Maybe in theater I have to be like a little bit bigger. Cinema I have to be a little bit smaller, because everything I can see it. Like I cannot like eyebrow. What's that name? Eyebrow. Like I cannot like do this and open my eyes a lot, because I have to be relaxed in cinema. But when I see the film in the cinema, when I finish the film and I see it in the cinema with the audience, it's good. But I love the theater, because the theater you can dance now, and the audience, they say wow, and they clap, and this is the amazing thing about the actor. Actors always, they need to be socialized with the people. They don't need to be alone at all. They have to be socialized. So yeah.
Do you, if you're doing a show, you have different audience, different nights, do you have a sense of the audience being different? So say you're performing, it's a Thursday, and you're performing on a Friday, so it's different people who have come to the show. Do you have a sense before you start or during a performance that the audience is different? That sometimes they're very open, sometimes very receptive, sometimes not so much.
Yeah.
You have to work harder.
Yeah, I have to have fun, but I understand you. But mostly when I enter the stage, I don't contact like with the audience. I see black. I don't have to contact with them. So if this Saturday I have a boring audience, and Sunday I have a fun audience, like I don't engage with them a lot. But I have my soul, they are going to play. Did I answer well?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Anders, do you have a similar experience?
I have, as in film, as a director or as an actor, I like to be present inside the theater, in the audience when the film is screening in a festival, and to stay, because usually we present the film and then we say, have a good film, we go outside to eat, and then we come back for the Q&A. But I like to stay, to experience what the audience is experiencing, most of them for the first time watching the film and going through the emotions. So I want to be there in the middle of the audience watching this film. And I like to do that. I always stay for the screenings of my films during festivals or during screenings to feel the audience. Are they laughing where I think they are going to laugh? Are they crying or shouting or gasping? It's always a great experience to see that and feel them. They're right there around. And of course, I don't know any of them, but I feel very, very close to them because they are feeling the emotions that I was intending as a writer, director, or as an actor. So this is a great exercise. I love to do that.
So I can also like when the audience laughs now, I can improve in this area.
Yeah.
Like later.
Yes.
Yeah. So art, I have to like work and do work every time, every day.
My theatre experience, I've found rather differently. you kind of have a relationship with the audience, even if it's unspoken. And sometimes you know, even before you've gone on stage, that it's going to be good. It's a quixotic thing. It's impossible to explain. You just know that it's going to work. And sometimes it's as though the audience are not interested. You have to work a bit harder. And then sometimes I remember I played the porter in Macbeth, and I did, I think, 7 nights. And at one point, some friends of mine came, and of the 7 nights, it was from the actor's point of view, it was just like the worst audience. It was just dead to the world. And yet I had friends in it, and I said something after the show, and the woman's name Maya, she said to me, I think I complimented a previous audience who laughed at a particular joke, and she said, oh, were they as good as us? Yeah. And I was like, you know, I thought you'd all passed away. I was going to send you flowers, you know.
Do you want to?
Hello?
Yeah.
I was wondering maybe it's time to play one of the videos that we wanted to share with the audience. We don't have the videos.
No, we don't have any moving.
Oh, unfortunately, we can't share the videos. No, the YouTube videos?
No, but what I could do is, let's see.
Yes.
They're very happy. Look at them.
Okay.
Shall I just go?
Yes,
yeah.
I'll pass on to
Okay.
Rodney right now. who's going to
There's
take
someone
the
else
next
was
segment.
supposed to be, Tam was supposed to be on our panel. She's a singer. So when we got together, we had a Zoom meeting, we were talking briefly about what we might do. That was going to do the introduction with the scarves about the rhythm of performance. And then Tam was going to sing. So then I was thinking, well, what could I do that would have something to do with like sculpting fiction and rhythm? So I thought of this great piece of writing by an Irish author called James Joyce. All the great writers in the English language are Irish. Or, you know, yeah, well, of course, because it's like rising back, you know, like the rising back to the Empire Strikes Back. And that's James Joyce's great ambition was to write a novel that would trump English novels. So here, this is the opening of a novel called Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And it's written from the point of view of a young boy who's coming into sensory apperception. He's coming to understand the world around him. And Joyce wanted, interesting as well about point of view, he was always suspicious of, in fiction, how you have a narrator who tells the audience about the characters. So like an omniscient narrator, someone who knows everything that's going on with the characters and sort of works as an intermediary between the character and the reader. And Joyce is trying to break that barrier down, and he alighted upon this idea of beginning a novel from the moment where a child first remembers things and then growing as that voice grows, as the character grows older, comes to greater knowledge. So what you get here is a novel that begins with a story, like Once Upon a Time. So the young boy's immediate memory is of being told Once Upon a Time, fairy tales. And then all the senses come into play. So first it's hearing being told the story. And then our memory of wetting the bed as a child, and it's the sense of smell and the sense of touch. All the senses are being evoked by each of the things that he remembers. And of course it begins with the family. The father's telling him the story. He thinks of how the father is different to the mother. So it's kind of like all of our experiences, but in the most simply communicated way that draws you into the child's world, but reading from an adult's point of view in terms of sculpting fiction, you have a sense of how the character is being sculpted. His name is Stephen, how he comes into being. So, where are we here? Yeah. Yes, so, and then we extend the family. Then so you have the family, you have politics, you have the introduction of these things, and then very discreetly towards the end, you have the introduction of religion and the way in which there is the threat of punishment. He does something, it's not clear what he does. He does something, he does something that involves the girl next door, the next door neighbor. And he's only a child, he's 4 or 5 years of age. So we don't know what he did, but it's not something particularly salacious. Nonetheless, he has to apologize. And as you can see behind me, I hope, he's threatened, if he doesn't apologize, by ornithological violence, that a great bird of prey will come and rip out his eyes, which is the kind of thing I remember being a child in Ireland as well, this kind of very dictatorial, you'll do what you're told or else. So Stephen, you will apologize or a bird is going to come and blind you. Okay? And you can see the way Joyce, you see Dante says, this is the ante says, or if not the eagles will come and pull out your eyes, pull out his eyes, apologize, apologize, pull out his eyes. And then for some reason that was never really clear to me, the phrase is repeated again, apologize, pull out his eyes. It's rearranged, see, so from pull out his eyes, apologize, it appears, apologize, pull out his eyes, pull out his eyes, apologize. And then I realized, it dawned on me, I thought, oh yeah. So what's happening here in this novel called A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man is that Stephen is threatened with violence if he doesn't apologize. And what he hears, rather than the threat, is the rhythm of the language. What he hears is the rhythm of pull out his eyes, apologize, the rhyme, the slow rhythm. So in the focus on the last 4 lines, what Joyce is effectively saying is that, and remember the novel is called A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, and the artist in this instance is a writer. He's drawing attention to the fact that in the face of threat, in the face of extinction, in the face of punishment, he is able to hear the rhythms of a liberation. He's able to hear the rhythms of a poetry that counters the nature of the threat. And then he goes on to become this great novelist who is attributed with writing perhaps the greatest novel of the 20th century, I says.
Very nice.
Thank you.
You. So, did you not have other slides?
I have one other thing. Will I do the other thing?
Yes, I
okay.
want you
All
to
right,
go
okay.
move
All
on to
right.
the next
Sorry.
one.
Since I have a few slides here, I'll do this. Because I wanted to do something that I thought spoke particularly to the sculptural exhibition. So I want to see what I'm doing here, so. Let's see. Okay, so these are photographs from Monday last week. And it's an archaeological dig in Ireland. And you can see just down there over the bottles of water where some archaeologists have been digging in like an Irish bog. And bog in Ireland is the most fertile place for preserving remains. And because in this archaeological dig, historically, lots of bodies have been discovered which are attributed to Neolithic peoples from 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. So recently, in this particular dig from these photographs, they discovered the body of a young girl, and their bones are here, and they were able to tell from, so basically the head was missing. So the assumption was that she was executed maybe 4,000 years ago, and part of the punishment was a decapitation, because the rest of the body is perfectly preserved. And this was like discovered last Monday. I thought this is interesting because when I was going to college, there's an Irish poet called Seamus Heaney, and he wrote this magnificent poem called Punishment about a body that was discovered in the same bog in 1972. So it was like 50 years in the difference. So they've been doing archaeological digs in the same place for 50 years. And 50 years ago, they found this body, and he wrote this poem. And I'll just read the poem for you. He was writing the poem about the body that was found 50 years ago. I can feel the tug of the halter at the nape of her neck, the wind on her naked front. It shakes the frail rigging of her ribs. I can see her drowned body in the bog, the weighing stone, the floating roots and boughs, under which at first she was a barked sapling. that is dug up oak bone, brain firkin, her shaved head like a stubble of black corn, her blindfold a soiled bandage, her noose a ring to store the memories of love. Little adulteress, before they punished you, you were flaxen-haired, undernourished, and your tar-black face was beautiful. My poor scapegoat. I almost love you, but would have cast, I know, the stones of silence. I am the artful voyeur of your brains exposed in darkened combs, your muscles webbing, and all your numbered bones. I who have stood dumb when your betraying sisters called in tar, wept by the railings, who would connive in civilized outrage, and yet understand the exact and tribal, intimate revenge. So what Heaney was writing about was the policy of the Irish Republican Army in the 70s to tar and feather Catholic girls who were found to be having relationships with British soldiers. If you know about Ireland, the history of Ireland, Ireland was the first colony, remains the last colony. England still claims that Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. Heaney grew up in Northern Ireland, so when the British Army was moved in en masse in 1964 to curb a civil rights movement that had arisen in response to Martin Luther King's civil rights movement in America, the army was moved in, and what became the Troubles lasted 50 years. Thousands of people were killed. So Heaney makes this extraordinary, he reads in The Body of the Girl Discovered in 1974, a parallel to young women who are suffering this punishment at that time. And I couldn't help but think when these remains were found last Monday, and this became a story in Ireland, that there is, in some sense, an extraordinary parallel between what sculpture achieves and what archaeology can dig out of the earth. What archaeology is doing, of course, is like digging into our past and producing in our past things that look from our supposedly modernized tribal and barbaric. But Heaney had made the point in the 70s that in actual fact, that is not of the past, that is still of the present. So I think there is something, and there's some magnificent sculptures out in the yard that speak to me in this way about the present and how the present can be reflected in art in ways that mirror the past and remind us that the past is not some tribal, terrible place, that the world today has this tribal, terrible capacity, and we need to pay more attention. So it's in those ways that I think art is important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rodney. Your presentation brings me back to another notion that's at the intersection of literature, song, art, film, and sculpture, which is that of giving a physicality, a materiality to an idea, a notion, or a story. So we talked about many different methods about of how that can come about. We also spoke very briefly in our previous discussions about the methods of sculpture where it's additive, you add material, or like the sculptures here, which is subtractive, where you remove material. So we talk about, when we shape our stories or our characters or our settings, sometimes it's about trying to shape what it is by also reflecting on moments of, I think a helpful tool is to think about what it's not. So you kind of stride between shaping these stories like over and over again. Like, I mean, how many drafts do we make of a writing? Can we talk about that process? Like how we conceive that process? I mean, just from a very logistical point of view, but also what are our decision-making kind of strategy? I mean, like what our decision-making does and to the outcome.
Well, it's writing is never finished. It's never, you don't finish a script, you decide to stop writing it. and rewriting it, because it's a never-ending process and it can drive you insane. So you have to at some point says, okay, that's done. The issue today, I think of all time, but mainly today, is writers give the script and their writings to too many people to read and get feedback from. So you have to have a producer with you or two producers giving you advice, but giving it to so many people, friend writers, consultants, advisors. They always come back with notes and comments because every person, individual, has its own vision and idea of the material. And then it becomes, for me, it becomes too much. Too much and too dangerous. You can always get good ideas from anyone, anytime, anywhere, but then you go on and on and on to rewrite, maybe not as you should have done it in the premium vision that you were seeking to tell the story. So, yeah, at some point you have to stop writing. And in French we say, un script or a work of art, a script, n'est jamais achevé, parfois il peut être abouti. So, achevé means finished, terminated, but abouti means you reach some place you can be happy with, even if it's not finished. So, you just have to feel like... Never. In art, never finish. You can always rewrite, you can always retouch a painting, a sculpture, a building, anything. So, yeah, you have to decide when to stop, and I think this takes an immense wisdom to do so.
Did you rewrite the script when you were shooting the translator? Did you rewrite on set?
Absolutely. On set, rewriting it, non-stop. You continue rewriting non-stop with the input of the actors and the actresses and the moment and the situation, the political situation. Everything changes every day, so you can always rewrite during shooting.
I think
for the people, they love to write and to do films. Don't be hard on yourself. Just write what you think. And Anas is true. He's true. Like in the set, we are writing.
Yeah.
In the end of the film, we are writing.
I was once told that there's the film that you write, the film that you produce or film, shoot, and the film that you edit. And those are three, you think that they're the same, but they're actually three different films. And I think if you accept that, some great things can happen. I think, there are... I have a very good friend called Susanna Merghani who can shoot a film always at the beginning. The first edit is approximately twice as long as the final cut. And the script, you anticipate that it will be 15 minutes. You actually shoot something that could be 40 minutes long, and then you re-edit it until you get down to something like 20. So that's also interesting. And also in terms of an interesting thing that I think a layer to giving materiality to our work is the notion of time. And we touched upon it in terms of like how to reinterpret the same work after a lot of time. And I think when it comes to film, to a certain degree, play, theater, and also books and literature, the idea of time, and that's why I wanted to touch on the idea of the audience, because these are not standalone pieces. There's always a different kind of engagement that comes from the audience that is very time and context specific. And we have our little video playing in the back, but without sound, so I thought maybe at some point we might even play the music and talk about this? Maybe. Oh, we can't? Okay.
That speaks to what you're saying. What you're seeing there behind you is a clip from a video by a band called The Cure, an English band for The Cure who've been around since the late 70s. And the video came out last year. The song's called Alone. It features a piece of sculpture by a Slovenian sculptor called Pirza Janat. It's called Bagatelle. It was made in 1975. And the lyrics of the song are, how to say, they're recycled,
Wow. If you will watch it, guys, on YouTube, you will love it. The quality, it's amazing.
I really like the fact is I find myself a few months from being 60 years of age, which I never thought would happen, to see the combination. So the lyrics are from a poem from the late 19th century. The sculptor is from a Slovenian sculptor. The band is a band from the 1970s. The message is relentlessly bleak, incredibly honest, and with the music, really powerful. In that way that what art can do, because one of the themes of the conference is joy in the art of making, and there isn't a lot of reason to be joyous.
Joy
I
in
find
the struggle of making.
joy in the struggle of making. So I think what you get in a piece of art like this, and I'm speaking of the video as a piece of art, is you get some joy about the general struggle, because the music, it is the art that has the ability momentarily, as music does. You know, music, I always find, if some people say to me, what's your favorite of the arts? And I write, and I love literature, and I love watching movies, but I couldn't survive without music.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. So it's music, and because music has the ability, in the course of whatever it might be, a few minutes, a piece of music can just transform everything, but just temporarily, just briefly. But you have that for a moment. It's precious.
I like what you're saying there, because we're talking about two ends of the spectrum in terms of temporality, what we're talking about. Like, so sculptures, you create something that has a presence that becomes permanent, and then you've got music that's ephemeral. It comes and, you can't touch it, you can't grasp it, it's intangible, but it's so effective. So, yes, thank you so much for that. So, I think this might be a good time for us to thank you for allowing us to share our musings and our reflections on our processes and have this organic conversation. And thank you, everyone, for sharing your insights. And I leave it to the audience now if you want to ask us any questions.
Any question? Come on. تفضل.
Hello. You can hear me, right? Yes. So, Mr. Atith did say that if the role saying that you have to be crazy, you could be crazy, right? So, what about if the role sometimes sculpture your own personality more than you can imagine, and you became crazy while filming and outside of filming? Would it be too much? I have an example could be very hard, like Heath Ledger, the actor of Joker in Dark Knight. So is it too much, or it's okay?
Before 6 months, I were playing a theater and in a show in theater, and my character was something, let's say, crazy. Okay, so I really believed in myself that I am crazy, and the rehearsals was 2 months. How can I shape the character as an actor that I have to be inside the theater or in the cinema and outside a crazy? I have to understand how the crazy eats, how the crazy walk, what the crazy like wear, and if I just thinking about it and not doing it, I will not find anything. Like I remember that a character, a crazy, let's say crazy, and I went to the rental car shop, and I talk with him, not me, not Atith. I talk with him like that character, and I have to understand how the character talk, how the character like engage with the others, and believe on it. Like fun things with the character, with the actor, like playing a character with a different accent. And he's talking with his friend. I don't talk with my friend like in my accent. I have to talk with the other accent. And my friend like just إيش قاعد تسوي? what are you talking about? فهمت؟ Are you crazy? So yeah, I have to be inside and outside, and this is the hard thing about the actors.
So it's not too much. It's not. It's okay.
For
'Cause,
me, I love it.
Okay.
Man, why I choose to be an actor? Because I can live like different lives. I can be doctor, policeman, dancer, criminal, like everything. I love that. But if someone don't love to be a schizophrenia, like yeah, double life. I love to live in double life. I like it.
Okay, thank you.
Before the microphone goes, what did you think of Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark
What?
Knight?
Sorry?
What did you think of Heath Ledger's performance as Joker in The Dark Knight?
Perfect.
You really enjoyed
Too
it?
much perfect.
Yeah, okay.
For example, also when Mr. Anas said about improvising, there is a scene about the explosion of the hospital. He improvised on that. Was unexpected mistake happened. Some explosion didn't explode, so he did something out of context. So I think it's amazing, actually.
Yeah. I ask because when I'm teaching, and I have a drama component in my course, so the students they all have to perform. I have a class of about 20 students. I'm very lucky in that regard. So they have to do a dramatic performance. I've been doing this now for about 10 years in Qatar. And Heath Ledger's Joker is the performance that at least 2 students do a year. So I've seen about 20 of them. So as a performance, it seems to cut right through to an audience in a way that people identify with what you're talking about, the rebellious aspect, the criminal aspect. There's something in the performance that so flies in the face of the normative that people really, really enjoy it. Sure. So even if it was something that cost him, and there is the idea, the mythology that he was so invested in the character he never recovered, and this is why he died. I'm not sure if that's true, but regardless, he died too young, but he left this extraordinary performance cinematically. Would you agree with that, Alan?
Yes, I think he was haunted, like they said, the story, he was haunted by this performance to the point of feeling really scared himself by being alone and taking medicine, and he took too many medicine and went overdose, like it happens, unfortunately. But yes, to answer your question, it went too far for him, but he left a legacy, he left something behind that was not done by anyone else for this kind of role. So, you know, in the name of art, you do anything. He loved the job.
Yeah.
Loved the job.
Yeah, it's really interesting in terms of methodology, acting methodology. You've got trained, untrained, and I'm untrained, but I did workshops with 2 very different directors, and I learned a different way to bring out performances from actors. And one of the things I was told, because I'm an untrained actor, my biggest fear is to act badly in a film. And people used to say, "Don't worry, bad acting is the or acting is the responsibility of a director. So a director can get a very strong performance from a weak actor, but a bad director can get a very weak performance from a really good actor." So, so for example, when I was working with Skandar Kopti, who's a Palestinian director, we had 3-hour sessions. 2 hours of those was spent at the beginning doing exercises like what Adith showed you. We were playing with balloons and balls and chase, and it was all about listening, rhythms, guessing someone's thoughts. Improv. We didn't even get to the improv. We'd do 2 hours of physical exercises that dealt with rhythm, timing, listening, non-physical, non-verbal communication, trying to understand predicting how somebody's going to move in a game, just so that we are a little bit more reactive. So before we go into improv, and it was pure improv. And he would let us act a scene, like he would let the camera run, and he would let us act the scene and beyond and build it up. So what he wants from a scene, maybe 2 minutes, but he would let us go through it for 20, because he's going to try to choose which 2 minutes of that 20 minutes that you just performed. And then we had Danielle Suisa, who worked in a completely different way, which is like go through the script, then forget the script. What is truly happening in, what's the subtext? When somebody says, come on, let's get ready, are they meaning like, I'm so sorry for the argument we just had? That will change the way I say, hurry, let's get ready, because I'm thinking about that other thing that I'm trying to say. So it changes the way that I deliver that line. And also, a good thing that she used to teach us was what happened before the scene and what's about to happen after the scene. Did she just brush her teeth and come out? Was she cooking, did she have a conversation on the phone that was upsetting her and then come out for this? Like what happened right before? So there's, in terms of methodology of how you shape and you sculpt all of this, there's many different ways, and it depends on the director. And that's how you can sculpt a character, deliver the outcome badly or well. Or maybe even not badly or well, but how it is shaped. And I remember that with Skandar Kopti, because he took us through a lot of improv, and it's exactly what Heath Ledger kind of went through, you would come out of a session feeling really bad because the improv was so honest, and actors tell the truth, they do not act. So because it's so honest, you may carry some of that with you. Yeah. But one of the things he said, he's like, you create a safe space for your actors, and you always say that you don't need to speak about whatever it is that we do in here, and you always have to respect the people that have acted with you, because you've gone through improvisation, and you respect the actor outside of the stage, the theater, the space that you rehearsed in. You never say, oh, I was with Rodney and when we improved and he said this, that, the other, because that was part of the exercise and that's what gets us to a place. You may take some of that with you, but I don't know about you, but I always took some time to decompress.
But there is
afterwards.
a way to clean yourself, huh? يعني there are a lot of ways to clean yourself as an actor. Like methods. Like for me, when I am doing an act in theater, after I get my notebook and I write everything. What I write, I said, if I am not crazy, I am calm, everything is good. This is a kind of cleaning, and every artist, like painter, photographer, dancer, has to clean himself after the show. Why also? Because the actors and singers, they feel their ego, it's going to be bigger, and they have to be like واقعي. I wish this talk was in Arabic, guys.
I think we get it.
So you have to clean yourself
this.
after the, there is a lot of ways. I think Brecht, I don't know his name in English. Like Brecht, it's a method in acting and performance, and Brecht said how to clean yourself deeply.
Thank you for that question. We have a question in the back.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I thank you for the informative session. But my question is for the movie, for the cinema. What is the philosophy of bringing a drama or comedy? And what is hard, to put a smile on the face or to make someone cry about something emotional or something? So this is my question for the directors. Is it possible to touch people's emotions during the movie or cinema by, is it hard to be a comedic role, or is it hard to be in emotional or drama role? This is my question.
Andy, thank you for the question. what's really interesting about film is that the audience watching a film, they know everything is fake. They know they are actors, actresses, a script, you know, decor, fake house, fake whatever. The only thing they know and feel is true is the emotion. That's the only thing which is true in cinema, is emotion. So it's not about the drama or the comedy, I think. It's just about the story. The story is the main thing you have to convey, and to the transmission to the audience is, I'm going to tell you a story through images, through moving images, and you're going to feel whatever you are ready to feel. My intention is to make you cry or to make you laugh or to make you wonder or think about your own life. It depends on the response of the audience at this moment when they are watching it, what moment in their lives, what moment in their day, what moment in their own inner journey. But the emotions are there, and they're going to live through the emotions, because that's the only thing that is real in cinema are the emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Because I came across a lot of movies, and from different background, like documentaries and everything. Like as you said, it's about the storytelling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also noticed that the improvisation, or how the actor improvised during the movie is spectacular in certain movies, like Mr. Atid, he said that we need to heal after every role, because Hilary Swank in $1 Million Baby, I believe she went through a lot of things. She go direct to her husband after the movie because it was a tough role at that time. And yeah, writing a script is very amazing. I thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'd say somebody. So the actor, the actor who I mentioned, who wouldn't work for Kubrick, is Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel refused to work.
Which film?
Whatever film he was supposed to be in when he walked off set.
I
don't know.
It was Eyes Wide Shut.
Was it? Okay, and the reason I mentioned that is because I'm now going to say there's a famous quote, and I don't know who said it, but famous quote, that tragedy is easy, comedy's hard.
Yeah, exactly. This is my thing.
And that's true. Also, it's not, but it's true in the sense that tragedy always mines the same material. You know when something is going to be tragic. You know this is a tragic moment. So it's how effective the movie, the play, the novel is in terms of connecting you to the weight of the tragedy. And if it does that well, then it succeeds. And you cry, you're moved, whatever. Whereas for me, comedy particularly satire, which is comedy in the service of a political purpose. So just as opposed to comedy just for the sake of laughing. Satire is always really interesting because it has to find the way it expresses itself in a different way. It's not like tragedy is always the same register.
The same, yeah.
When comedy is really good, when you laugh spontaneously, you think that's really funny. It's because the thing is funny in a new way. It's doing something, and you can't help but laugh at it because it's got that peculiarity. So we were just talking about, myself and Anis been talking a lot about movies recently, because we were here last week to do the talk, and we're back again, and we've done it. Alhamdulillah. But we're talking about favourite movies, scenes in movies, and Anis mentioned last week that he really likes the movie Festen, a Danish film by Winterberg.
Thomas Winterberg.
If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. So I went back, and it's on Mubi, so I watched it the night before last. And what struck me about it was really good is that it is really tragic because it's about the collapse of a family. They all come together, and it's a special event, it's a birthday event, and all these secrets come out, and it's tragic.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly funny. And in exactly the same scene where something tragic is appearing, it's just teetering on farce. But you don't go with the farce. You don't give in to the fact that it's funny because you know that this is serious.
It's a dark comedy.
Exactly so. It's like it's the blackest of black comedies, and they're really good.
Yes, and we were talking about it because the opening, the first 10 minutes of the film, we're talking about this because I'm teaching cinema in a French university, and I'm teaching cinema by choosing first 10 minutes of 10 films, and this is how it came out. So yes, the first 10 minutes are very incredible. Festen, it's called Festen. I'll write it to you in the group. You have
I
to see
think
this
what's
film.
interesting also when you make a film and you don't intend it to be funny and people laugh.
Yes.
I made a film and it was in the festivals during COVID, so I couldn't attend it. And then about 2 years after that, I attended a screening for it with a live audience, and I was surprised at where people laughed, and that was really interesting. And then it made me realize, wow, that is a really funny moment that I wrote. But for me, when I wrote it and when I made it, I didn't see it as a funny moment. So I thought that was really interesting. Thank you very much.
No more questions? Arwa, question?
We've run out of time now, so I want to thank everyone. Oh, you have a question, sorry. Yes.
One
I
more?
didn't see that.
Can we do one more or no?
Can we do one more? Yes, let's do one more.
Hi, how are you? My name is Mohammed Al-Faqih. I'm a game design director. And I want to ask about how you can create kind of an emotion inside the animation movie and also the game development story. So, and also about the composition inside the cinema. You know, some scenes, you feel like an artistic scene, like kind of a composition art inside the movie. Yeah, and also the same thing in animation. Yeah, that's my question.
I think one of the first films that I ever cried in is Watership Down. When I was very, very young, it's an animation. It's a feature-length animation. I can't remember much of it, but I do remember being extremely moved as a child. I'm sure now, when I think back on it, it must have had grander storylines than what I saw it. But I remember being just as moved with animation that I have with feature film, and I think that starts with a really good script.
Yes, the story is key, like we mentioned earlier. Which story you want to tell, which message through the story, through the journey you want to convey. So yeah, whether it's animation or mix of live action animation. Of course, I'm not expert in animation. I don't watch a lot of animation, so I'm not sure. But yes, I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So Watership Down was a story about rabbits. You know, you had a father, the son, and they were struggling to find food and losing. I think there was one of the child was lost or too adventurous and something. That's the gist of the story, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
I think if you like work with the writer of the movie, I love as an actor. I love when I read a scenario, and the scenario has a details for the character. When the character, the history of the character, and for you as a movie, you can start in the setup in the beginning, and you can as an audience. For me as an audience, you have to make me love your character in the beginning and engage with him. Like Maysa said, a robot eat and those routine things, and Maysa engage with the character. And if this character killed in the end, Maysa will cry. I think so. Yeah. You have to engage with the character.
I would cry, yes.
Were you a child when you saw Watership Down?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
it was back in the 80s.
Okay. So I think animation movies are fantastic for giving children values in a melodramatic way. It's like the good guy, the bad guy, the good characters, the bad characters, but the associated themes are really important, and they're clear, they have a certain clarity. So for me it was Animal Farm, the book, and but the animation version, and the animals take over the farm because the human owners are cruel, and then the pigs take over from the human owners because they spy an opportunity, and they sell the horse down the river to the abattoir. And I read it, I was just... Yeah. Okay.
The wonderful thing about, and the difficult thing about animation is you're building everything from scratch. Literally, I mean, even the sound. I'm going through making an animation myself right now, a short one, and it is a dark comedy, but it's quite tragic and very sad as well. And what's interesting about it is that I start literally with a blank canvas, so I can build up composition, lines, color, form, but also in terms of building up the sound and how the sound can be quite emotive and can change the whole meaning of, or sentiment, or, it has a completely different effect. So animation, you have this question. I think it really, you have to be a great architect to build something effectively, because you're building up the context. Mm-hmm. And I think this can also, this definitely happens in live filming as well. I mean, you have people that are very, have a very distinct artistic language in their films, like Wes Anderson with his symmetry, Kubrick with his one-point perspective.
Terrence Malick with his only shooting at dusk and dawn.
There you go. Terrence Malick, dusk and dawn, so... And there's a lot that's also happening in Citizen Kane in terms of like how you put actors in the front, make them feel very large, put actors in the back and make them very small, or sandwich them in between two very large characters in the front and then a tiny character in the back, or having someone sitting down when they're feeling small, having them sit up when they want to speak, become more determined. So there's a lot of visual language that you can play in that too. I think it's a combination. It's like, these are tools, absolutely. All of these are tools that can be used. Thank you very much. I think we need to call it a day because we've run out of time. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to our panel and thanks to the audience.